Welcome, fans of The Chosen. I'm here today. It's a great privilege to introduce another cast member, George Xanthis. George, thank you so much for being here today with us.
G'day, Darren. Thanks for having me. It's really great to be here. And yeah,
We appreciate it. I know the fans do, and it's going to be an interesting ride for us today. So I'm just going to start off with the obvious. How did you land the role of John? What was the audition process? What did you have to bring to the table? What challenges did you have in the role?
Well, it's funny because obviously we did our live stream a couple of weeks ago, and I was fortunate enough that that Dallas went through a little bit on the process on how I was cast. But essentially, like a lot of the actors, I think you go in for one character and then it goes from there. So I actually went in for Simon Peter, or at the time just Simon.
See, you merchants, you get twice the help out at sea. I need twice the help here on land. Excuse me. John, I was unaware that the Hammer changed its policy on allowing in children.
And he really liked him and Beverly at the casting studio, and then obviously people who were watching it really liked what I did. But they had seen, and Shahar is just an incredible Simon. I don't think it was possible to shape that image from the head. From the mind. I think he's done such a great job with Simon. So they're thinking, okay, maybe not great for Simon, but we saw what he could do. I think a lot of the actors actually went in for Simon because it was such a good, especially in the first 4 episodes, there's a lot of great work from a lot of great dialogue for Simon. So from there, they actually got me to come in the next day. And one of the most gifted with their tongue, I would say, is Quintus, the Roman, I think he's like a praetor, I think they call him, is like a general of sorts. And I actually went in for Quintus.
So, a Jew tax collector and his escort demand to see the praetor of Judea. It's urgent, they say, a matter of life and death. Last night was very, very hot indeed.
And whereas Simon was this sort of he's sort of cocky, but a man of the people. Then there was a different type of cockiness of a man of the elite, I would say. And so I switched between the two, within a 12-hour turnaround, I would say. So, yeah, I think I'm not sure, we were talking off air about the challenges of casting, perhaps, or you may have asked it just then. But one of the challenges is remembering 8 pages or 7 pages in just an evening. Yeah, I came in the next day, had all the lines down. In Australia, you're not allowed to take the scripts with you. They like you to be off book. So now in America, when I'm going in for auditions, I'm mostly off book. And they were very surprised by that behind the camera. Dallas was very impressed by that, the fact that I was off book. And yeah, it was thanks to Dallas's wife that the casting decision was made that, look, he was great as Quintus, great as Simon, but I'm feeling, this could be one of our apostles. And good thing they settled on John, because me and John have very similar character traits normally, which is great. Both of them are quite, zealous, quite fiery, as the sons of thunder can be. But what happens with John later on, not to get too far away from the original question, but it is casting and character. But John gets calmed down a little bit by Jesus, and also through Jesus, his experience with the other apostles. There's a great scene in, I'm not mistaken, it's episode 6, Indescribable Compassion, or something like, I think that's the name of the episode. It's when Simon pulls John away, and I love this scene because Simon and John become quite close later on, but we don't know that now, and that's why it's a long-form television series, is you see these early relationships, but you see Simon is comfortable with John. He brings him aside and says, I'm not too comfortable with all the people watching because Jesus is preaching and there's a lot of crowd, surrounding Zebedee's house. And he says, I'm looking at this exit here and...
What's wrong? It's getting too crowded.
Don't worry about it. Ima and Abba love the company.
I'm not worried about them.
Oh, okay. So what do you want to do?
Let's try to make sure the path out of your back garden is clear.
What do you think is going to happen?
Anything could happen. All these people, word spreading, wrong people stop by.
Simon, you don't have to be his bodyguard. I think he can handle anything.
Yeah, well, he called me. And if we're not fighting the Romans yet, I want to do something until that time comes.
Called you to catch men.
I don't know what that means.
Exactly. And if he needed you to know what that meant, he would have told you. So just be you, okay? And hey, maybe you already know.
And he's sort of worried about what it is he has to do. And it's John that sort of calms him down and says, of all people, fiery personality of one of the Sons of Thunder, to say, hey, you'll know when you know. And it's sort of like that, you know, have faith in this man that we're following. And it's great that we've got John, who, as you see in that episode, John's the first one with the knife going to the leper, stay back. And then as a juxtaposition later on, he's the one telling Simon to calm down. So, you know, again, great decision from casting, because that's very similar to me. I can be quite a fiery, sort of, you know, opinionated, extroverted person, but I contain all of that. So yeah, it's sort of, I'm quite a measured person, but fiery when I need to be. So yeah, that's how I ended up with John, and good thing I did.
Good thing I reacted the way I did.
Because it fits me perfectly, and I've grown with the role, just as John grows in the series. So yeah.
You know, there's another scene that I wanted to kind of discuss at length, and it's the scene between Nicodemus and Jesus, where basically we're, you know, in the midst of John chapter 3. We're talking about what it means to be born again. And it's such an emotive scene. But one of the things I really liked about it is John is shown taking notes. You're listening in, you're not really in the midst of it, but you're taking notes. And I thought that was a really profound way of reminding the audience that this is one of the writers of the 4 accounts, one of the writers of the Gospels. Was that in script? I mean, it's the chosen. You've got the script, and they do a shooting script, and that's it. Or is there improvisation? Is there the possibility of ad-libbing, where things are kind of, you know, fluid a little bit?
It's funny. We actually, I think we may have even talked about that on the live stream as well. There's a funny story to accompany that. But to answer your question, firstly, it was not improvised. That was in the script, and it was such a great moment in the script. Me and Noah were very excited about that. Noah plays Andrew. We were, the reason being is because, yeah, these books have been written by these you know, these disciples, and it's great to see it happening in action. People get excited by that, and there's been a great response to that scene. And then based on that, what happens is actually our props, one of our props people, she would have been head of props, Lynn Moon. She would have all of our stuff, and this is when it does come into now the improv part, whereas that scene was written in, and I think, I'm writing down, and me and Andrew are listening in to Nicodemus and Jesus. But then in later scenes, when I see my props as an actor, I get given my bag and my water bottle and my satchel. And then I said, when I see the book, I go as George the actor. I say, can I actually have the book? I think it might be interesting, like when we saw John taking notes in that scene, it might be interesting just to have him hold the book around. And there's that thing of whenever, as an actor or as the character inspired, you know, would there have been a moment here where John would have gone, oh, I just learned something here I need to take note of because he's just said some gold, or I've realized something, and that's how it would have been, I would imagine. I mean, that's something that they choose whether to add that into the series. You can see it in the background on occasions. So when the creatives and the people in charge see that sort of improv in the background and they like it, they can keep it. But for me personally, I like the concept of John with his book. And so for the fans out there, you can keep a close eye on John in the background. You know, especially in these scenes where there's lots of walking and stuff, you'll see John with his book, which is great because, you know, they were writing back then, surely.
It's brilliant. I like it. Physical object, it brings it in, fleshes out the character. Brilliant. What about humor on set? All the interviews that I've done so far, it's been fun. Great cast, great people, but everybody has kind of a story about something comical going on.
Yeah, well, actually, there's lots of humor on set. You're not, and that's they can't. It's never a problem, but because it's always good on every set, it's never an issue. But it does need to be curbed. And me and Kian, who's my older brother, plays James. We've got a lot of scenes together, so we're often doing silly voices off set. Noah as well. Obviously, Nick, who you've spoken to, is an absolute prankster and a jokester. So we're all constantly doing that, and we probably need to be reined in. But that's a good thing. You always want there to be a certain amount of humor, and we're good sports enough to understand when we need to keep quiet a little bit. But there's definitely more jokes than not. But that's funny that we mentioned that scene. I actually forgot to say that when me and Noah doing that scene where I was taking notes. My only line is shh. And we did it I felt like 20 times because it was, there's not much to do there, but it's such a cool little scene that it got to a point where it's just like Noah would say something. He's like, do you think we need to shh? Should we shh? I don't know if we shh.
Have you ever heard anything like this before?
And I just kept shushing him. And it's considering how much we joke around on set, I cannot believe we got through that. Because when it ended, we burst out laughing and going, that was pretty funny, But yeah, that it was funny that 20 takes for the shh, shh, shh. And we're joking that I had to remember my lines for that scene. But lots of stuff. We've done lots of beatboxing and dancing on set. We did some 90s dance.
I saw the videos of you guys doing that.
I think it's on one of the
You were rocking it.
Well, also what happens is we all have our little catchphrases, and so when we're on set and we're Jonathan sometimes needs to steer clear of us as well. So Jonathan's obviously got the hardest job of all of us, and he'll probably, if he's got a big scene, he'll walk in and gauge what it's like. And Jonathan's just so calm, like a calming presence on set, as Jesus is for the disciples, as is Jonathan for the actors, But there'll be times when we'll be sitting there doing weird beatboxing and beats like.
Now we wait.
Like doing all these weird things, and Jonathan will probably come in and see. It's like, oh, they're having a funny day today. I'm like, I don't think I can get involved in that. And he just smiles and just hands in pockets and just turns and might need to go, because if he's going to get involved in what we're doing, he's probably going to throw him from the scene. So, but meanwhile, we did this beatbox audio of all of our catchphrases. So it's usually lines that when we do them in the show and us as actors struggle to say the line, or we're like, that line is not really landing for me. Those are our catchphrase lines. So Kian had one where he goes, "Figs for the journey."
Figs for the journey.
Ah, now we won't even need to stop for lunch.
And that was his line. And him saying it over and over, it starts to lose meaning. And so it became his catchphrase. So Kian's line in the beatbox, trance track that we had was "Figs for the journey." And then Noah's one was, he was eating an apple, and it's in the last episode. He goes, "Who got you food?"
Who got you food?
And he was struggling to, he was like, how should I say this line? Is it "Who got you food?" or "Who got you food?" And it was hilarious on the day. And so, we put that in the dance mix. There's a bunch of different catchphrases, and Noah made a song. It's incredible. He made a dance mix. We should release it on the Chosen fan page or something.
Yes, you should.
We should put it on the app, make a music video.
Why not? Why not?
But yeah, lots of joking around, as you can tell.
I can only imagine, and it makes sense. Part of it is just, stress release in a sense. You need that.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, I've got an office, the office mug, if anyone can tell, Dunder Mifflin. But anyway, quoting the UK version of the show, David Brent says, morale, very important for any business or any work scenario, morale. So absolutely. I mean, we're not really that stressed on set. You can get stressed a little bit, but it's just great for morale, as to quote the great David Brent. And that's, it's I think every set that I go on, I always try and be funny, do voices and that sort of thing. Hey, why not?
Okay, so favorite scene of the 8 episodes. One stand out?
Yeah, look, I mean, I always say I'm gonna cheat and say 2 because there's one scene that you can't, especially because I'm on set filming the second half of the series. Of course, I'm going to say the miracle of the fish is my favorite scene. It looks incredible. Like, I don't know. I was so impressed when I saw those fish get into the boat after the fact, because all we had, as I've mentioned many times, quoting the great Dallas Jenkins, was the big green burrito, and that's what we had to put into the boat. Like, try and get this burrito into the boat, and we're just hearing him say burrito made me crack up laughing every time.
Whatever you would do in real life to try to get this green burrito into the boat, you're doing on the day.
He's like being all serious, like you just get your green burrito, put it inside. I'm just like, dude, you just said green burrito. How am I supposed to keep a straight face with green burrito? But I'm looking at this thing going, like, how are they going to do this? And it looks phenomenal.
But then you watch the actual scene and it's these hundreds of whatever fish. They counted it. Do you know how many fish there are? This is like I think I know the number. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I don't. But do you know how many fish there were in that? Apparently there are historical records about how many fish there were.
I honestly don't know.
It's supposed to be like 143 or 150, something like that. I don't know. However many fish we used in the scene, I haven't counted them. Maybe we should. But that scene, but now that I've seen the second 4 episodes, I love the leper scene.
Rabbi, you cannot, this disease, you...
Please. Please. Please don't turn away from me.
I won't.
Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Only if you want to, I submit to you. My sister, she was a servant at the wedding. She told me what you can do. I know you can heal me if you are willing.
I am willing. Be cleansed.
Thank you. I knew it. I knew it.
Because I had not seen the second 4 episodes, and it's in episode 6 again, if I'm not mistaken. But I just wanted to show my family a scene very quickly. So I got onto the app, Chosen app, which is so good. I'm so impressed by the app as well. It's like seamless. Obviously, you've interacted with the app by watching the show. It's just incredible, the technology that we've got with the show. But I showed them that scene, and then it leads on, if I'm not mistaken, into a scene maybe with Simon and his mother, perhaps. And then after that, it leads to a scene with Zebedee.
Oh, hey.
Where is Simon?
He's taking care of some things at home. Andrew is getting him now.
Good. I thought maybe he got cold feet, or I'd have to go drag him out of the hammock.
Are you kidding? He's the teacher's pet. Like, you would hardly recognize him now.
And before I knew it, I was watching half the episode. I'm like, we want to watch this whole episode. Let's watch the whole episode. And then, we ended up watching the whole thing as a family. And then we're like, that's what got me to, hashtag binge Jesus, was that scene. I would say it's hard to turn off. So I would say my new favorite scene is the healing of the leper. Like it's incredible performances in that scene, and it's a lovely scene, and also just the episode flows so nicely. So I'm gonna change it to that. Fish was, but now it's the two miracles, I guess. Or it's hard not to choose miracles.
Well, this is a related question, obviously. Why do you think the series is so incredibly popular? We were talking about this earlier. We're looking at close to 7 million, I think, 7 million views. And not just popular, but well received. What I mean by that is critically, received. Why do you think, what components do you think The Chosen have that are generating this global interest?
Well, I actually think that there's one. I'm sure there's many, and I don't know if I'm going to be ultimately correct in what I say. I have a feeling that it's close to it, but there's one, I would say, one concept within the show that I think satisfies maybe two receivers of the content. And we've got, if you're Christian or, whether it's Orthodox, Catholic or whatever, or evangelical, whatever it is, Christian, some denomination, you're going to be interested in the show. But then you've got people who are perhaps spiritual in another sense, or whatever they choose to believe. So you've got two groups of people, and the thing that marries them both together as a collective single audience is the relatability of what we've created here. And that goes down to whether it's Jesus or the disciples, as we call the chosen, whoever those around Jesus are. And as Dallas says, as the sales pitch for the show, it's the perspective of the life of Jesus from those who knew him the best. And that's these people. And when you've, it's sort of like, they did Wicked from the perspective of the witch, so to speak. Like whenever you see something from a different perspective, it's always going to make there's a different level of relatability. And so I think that phenomenon is occurring with this show. But there's a scene in my former favorite episode 4, Miracle of the Fish. And Dallas actually told me when we were filming this, I'm so grateful to have a director like Dallas. It's just, we're friends now. It's great to have that sort of relatability as well with your director and creator. But he told me, I remember when we were like sort of having snacks, he goes, there could be people that aren't a fan of this particular moment. And the moment I'm talking about is, and it's my favorite, it's one of my favorites in the whole series, is Jesus is up here and Simon is down here, and he's down on his knees.
My brother and the baptizer, you are the Lamb of God, yes?
I am.
Depart from me. I am a sinful man. You don't know who I am, the things I've done.
Don't be afraid, Simon.
I'm sorry. We've waited for you for so long, we believe, but by faith, I'm sorry.
Lift up your head, fisherman.
What do you want from me? Anything you ask, I will do.
Follow me.
I will.
And he says, I'll do whatever you want. I'll do whatever you want. And that's how a lot of people see Jesus and Simon. This is the perspective of, this is the show. Simon is the show. The perspective of those who love who are around Jesus. That's who we're watching from, and he's Jesus. And that's how we've always seen Jesus. And this is where The Chosen's different and why it's successful. Jesus gets down on a knee and he comes here. And you've got Simon and Jesus and they're equal. And then that's when he says, follow me. And Dallas goes, that's important for me because I'm bringing Jesus down. A lot of people don't like, not a lot, maybe there's some select or who knows. Like some people don't like to see Jesus on an equal level with commoners, let's just say, like a Simon, a fisherman at the time. But I mean, with the 8 million people watching and the 11 million crowdfunding, I think it's safe to say this is a very, very popular view of what we're trying to tell, and that's the relatability. It's so many people have said, I feel so close to these people, whether it's a Simon or Jesus. There's an incredible scene at the wedding where Jesus is dancing, doing, the traditional dances with everyone. He's having fun. He's being a person. That is the success of the show. And whether you're on this side, whether you're, Christian background, or whether you're another spiritual faith or even no spiritual faith, you watch that, and that's what humans want. They want to watch stories that they can relate to. And this is the most relatable recount of Jesus's life that there's ever been, I think. And that's why it's so successful. And I've had people come to me who are of all different backgrounds and faiths and spiritual beliefs, and they're like, I want to see more. And that's the reason. And I think that's the main thing, relatability.
Hey, look, what's up next for you?
For me, what's up? So I'm my background is originally in comedy, so I'm always doing my improv stuff. I'm a student of the Groundlings, and I do stand up and whatnot. So I'm always doing that sort of thing. But as we can see on the app, you'll see that season 2 is getting crowdfunded as we speak. Mm-hmm. So definitely The Chosen's up and around the corner. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it, and it's a family. It's basically just seeing family again. So, in and amongst being my funny, crazy self on one side, I'm also going to be, looking forward to being involved with season 2 for sure.
Hey, look, you guys are amazing. I mean, this is the 4th interview, and I always learn something new, and it's just great fun. And I know the fans appreciate you taking the time, but I'm going to let you have the last word. So what one thing would you like to tell the fans?
Well, I think going on again from what is so successful about this show is just going on that point again, is that it's the relatability, it's the closeness of it. I think we're all a family. And if you watch the show, you'll see we have this section at the end of the credits where everyone's, lots of people's names are mentioned. This is the people's show, and it's been made from the ground up. So, the moment that you watch it or you interact with it, you're already a part of it. So I would just say to everybody, thank you so much for the support. You're already part of the family. This is a family. On set, we have fun as a family. On The Chosen, I think there's a Chosen fan group. They're part of the family. By the way, us and our actors' WhatsApp thread, we are constantly, sharing those memes that they make. They're hilarious. There was one about me and James about when your brother won't stop, I don't know, annoying you, and then it shows Kian's face, and I guess that's the final word I would say is that this show has been made through support, and that's how it's going to continue getting made, is just through support. And support can just be watching it, can be, telling someone, oh, this is a great show, or, it can just be, thinking about it or whatever. It's made from the ground up, and we're thankful for every single ounce of energy that's put towards it, and we want to give you more, so can't wait to give you more, basically. And thank you so much for the support is what I would say. That's all, just gratitude.
Awesome. George, thank you so much. I envision season 2. I think it's on the horizon. I really do. I know the first episode's already paid for, and it's just there. Basically, I know the production is it's just gaining ground. So I think 8 seasons, maybe 9. That's my hope.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Well, I can't wait to see what happens. I mean, we know what happens, but we can see that there's obviously, this is a television show. Like there are arcs, and there are plot lines, and there are threads, and there's lots of threads, and that's testament to the creative team that have made this so enthralling to watch. So, at the same time as we're getting historical events told to us, it's also, there's a narrative, and there's narratives that not only the crowd and the supporters want to watch, but also the actors. We want to see what happens next. So yeah, absolutely. Can't wait.
Awesome, George. Thanks a lot. The very best to you and all your friends on The Chosen.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
And out. Awesome, George. That was killer. That was killer.
Should've known we'd bring trouble. Trouble gonna find you here. Trouble. Trouble. Trouble.
Hey, it's Dallas. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and yes, season 1 of The Chosen is complete. All 8 episodes. They're available right now. You can look up The Chosen in the App Store or Google Play, and we're easy to find. You can download it and be watching within minutes. And in fact, it's unprecedented technology. You can connect to almost any device you have directly, and you don't even need a subscription. So I hope you'll check out season 1 of The Chosen right now.
It's if you don't enunciate perfectly, we tried it and it kept catching words wrong, and it actually it was more of a distraction than a benefit.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're recording. So if you could just keep a little eye on that thing and make sure the clock is ticking and it's red at the top left.
Darren is recording this call, so I need to be on my best behavior.
I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to my questions, and then I've got a little doc, and I'm going to put this up. I've got my hand over here so people can't see me scrolling. And then what I'll do is, okay, that's good. And how do I look? Do I look all right?
You look great.
Okay. All right. Thanks, George. So welcome, fans of The Chosen. I am so excited, and it's a privilege to have George. I looked at your last name. You got such a cool last name. All you guys have the coolest.
You replace the X with a Z. Yeah, it's like you can just say Xanthis. That's
okay.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of these questions that we're getting cast from all over the globe, and we haven't been interviewed yet.
Not at all.
We've just got Germany and Australia. I mean, come on, we get from all over the place. An American faking an Australian accent like this is where it's at. I heard that Australia is the greatest country on the planet.
Rolling, quiet please!
Can they hear that? So yeah, so I thought if I faked this accent enough, people would like me. I have issues with self-esteem, so it's the only way people can respond to me, right? I agree. Instant response, see that? It works. Happy birthday to Chris. Happy birthday to you. There's actually a nice, they use it as a screenshot for a lot of the videos. It's me seeing the fish for the first time. I look a bit cross-eyed, I'm like, and I'm really excited about the fish. So that moment, especially with the music and the cutaways to Jesus and to Simon, that moment is quite a magical TV sort of moment. My family's Greek Orthodox, so I showed my grandparents that, and they know the stories as well. So they were all very, very happy and impressed with those scenes for sure. The miracle of the fish. There's actually a video of Dallas like going through. He's like, I don't think we're gonna get this day. I don't think we're gonna get it. I don't know what's gonna happen. But he explained, what did he call them?
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, so guys, it's really fun, but I'll try to tell the story about Jesus and his disciples right here. I don't know if you care about that, but that's my life. So doing the bongos when I'm in the middle of a song doesn't help. Totally kidding.
Roll camera.
Awesome, George. That was killer. That was killer.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. I'm glad.
I can tell you do you're on stage and do stand up. I just can't because the presence. No, I mean you're just like you're on it. You're on your game, and it's impressive. It's impressive. I think that they're gonna. I'll go ahead and stop it now. I think that they will love it.